a bit of a conversation about contactless payments and payment behavior in the UK. And we've talked a lot about sort of education and communication. And there was some research that was put out a week ago that said that about 84% of British public at least recognize the contactless symbol. But, what are some of the, snowballing effects of pushing contactless into the public? What are some of the factors that will cause a surge in people actually using contactless in this country?
Yes, this was researched undertaken by Barclays Card, and they actually asked populists to research with 2,000 people their attitudes towards cash and cards. So using your card to, say, make payments for things that were worth under £20. And it was an interesting survey because people are willing to try new technology on some level, although there's a kind of overriding bias about people not wanting to give up what they know and feel in control of. So there's initial fear and anxiety about perhaps replacing, say, coins with a card, something that has been around since 600 BC. But the idea that maybe there's something in it for them, that they don't have to carry around coins or risk losing them, and that there's the convenience of having the card, if not the money on them. That was kind of winning through, but what was still a lurking anxiety for many people was, and 75% of people in the survey said this, they weren't sure whether they could become victims of fraud using this new technology. Would the card that had information about them and their finances written inside the card be picked up and used by somebody else? And what would happen if that were the case? Would they be covered? 75% of people in the survey said that was a major worry. And once they were reassured that they were covered in the same way as they were with their debit or credit card, I think the anxiety level shrunk to 10%. So people need to know their fears of the unknown have got to be assuaged. They have to know that when they're handling something that's dipping into cyberspace and they're not sure what's happening at the other end, that there is some kind of backup, somebody behind it all who is in control. And that would be the sponsor. But also they needed help, I think, at the point of sale. So there was a lot of talk about, well, the first time I use this, I might get it wrong. I might put the card in the wrong place. I might swipe it incorrectly. And there's also a fear of being made to look silly in public or being seen to not have the right knowledge. So training people to be at the point of sale who are just kind of in the background discreetly willing to help you make your first or second transactions, which enables you then to feel in control and unafraid of this new technology. You can then go on and use it for yourself. And I think the fact that the card itself is making a transition now. Contactless cards are moving out of just the food industry, where they seem to be predominating in places like Pret-a-Manger and M&S food shops and Tesco and the Co-op. They've Waitrose. They've moved out to W.H. Smith's and to Boots, which gives it a greater claim to, if you like, communality than perhaps if it was just restricted to food. It's now moving into transport, so by the end of the year, we will see contactless payment points on buses, and next year we'll actually see them on the tube. So it will then resemble something that's already in existence, which is the Oyster card. So that should add extra reassurance to people. So really it's about building up a feeling of reassurance, of comfort, of recognition. And of course the recognition of the actual contactless symbol, which is 3 waves, has actually increased and doubled between 2010 and 2011, and again between 2011 and 2012. So what that would suggest to me is that as soon as more retailers get on board and there are more contactless payment points and more trained retail staff to help out and more reassurance about backup, you will see a kind of snowball effect where from an initial baseline of people using it, you'll see the kind of moderate middle classes, if you like, or the majority of people jumping on board because they now feel it's safe, it's been around a while, other people have used it, and nothing drastic's happened, so maybe it's time for me to sneak in on the sidelines. And I'm talking too about people who might be technically phobic about using cards for just everything, and they may want to see that it does work first. And I think this is happening now, and we'll probably see a huge surge in use in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, sort of that moving on from the early adopters to, the grandmas and regular people on the street using it. So I mean, there was a lot of talk this year, you know, the Olympics happened in London about Visa was promising a cash-free Olympics, and there were a lot of issues with poor training of staff on the ground. And you made that earlier point about communication and helping people and the public not wanting to look stupid buying something. You know, was there a missed opportunity with the Olympics to kind of push contactless mainstream?
Well, yeah, there may have been, because I think there were so many things going on at the Olympics that the will was there, but probably the wherewithal wasn't. You first of all have to have enough contactless payment points, but more importantly, you have to have people who know how to help people to use them. And if they don't have the staff properly trained, you've got people kind of sort of groping around in the dark, as it were, trying to do the right thing and maybe wanting to use contactless and not feeling confident enough, or not being able to because the machine isn't working, or it's gone down, or the person running it doesn't know what they're doing. So yes, I think the potential was there. I think perhaps the organization on the ground floor needed looking at, and perhaps it was a time or money issue in terms of the staff they hired, how quickly they were hired, how much time there was left for training, whether the training in fact stayed in their heads when everything started happening. Difficult to know. It'd be worthwhile doing a study just to find out where it went wrong and what could be done. But certainly I think the next group opportunity that arises, there will be a lot of learning from those mistakes.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.